Good evening. I'd like to call to order the special meeting of the Victorville Redevelopment Agency and the City Council closed session of the City of Victorville. First item on the agenda is public comment. Anyone wishing to address the council at this time? All right, seeing no one, we'll move on to agenda item number 2. This is under the Redevelopment Agency. This is a public hearing called to hear arguments for and against the agency providing assistance to Church and Dwight Company, Inc. for purposes of financing certain capital equipment to be used on certain real property generally located north of Nisqually Road and east of Asperia Road, more particularly described as APN 3090-571-04, and adopting resolution number R-11-010, authorizing the owner participation agreement by and between the Victorville Redevelopment Agency and Church and Dwight Company, Inc. Mr. Metzler, did you want to give a presentation on this issue?
I will, and I'll make myself available for any questions or comments you might have. This item is a very traditional standard OPA. It's actually structured in a way that minimizes the risk to the redevelopment agency. And it's an OPA that serves as a reimbursement of tax increment for tax increments actually paid by the user. But this transaction involves Church and Dwight. There's been a little bit of announcement about it thus far, and Church and Dwight is the parent company of Arm & Hammer, along with a number of other personal care products that they manufacture and distribute both domestically and internationally. And we've been working with this company for nearly 6 months now. And surprisingly, we're seeing a lot of industrial interest, not just on the aviation side, but also manufacturing side. This is a manufacturing and distribution operation. So the jobs will be a little bit more diverse than the traditional distribution jobs that we've seen out in the Foxborough Industrial Park. But interestingly, when we were first approached by Church and Dwight, they were looking for approximately 400,000 square feet. They were looking for rail service. Rail service is fairly limited today. Foxborough is generally the only real place where you can most immediately get rail service. And we had the interesting challenge of trying to site them on another location in Foxborough. That site didn't work, but we were actually able to partner and work with the existing owner of the building that's currently occupied by the M&M Mars operation. Interestingly, M&M Mars has been in that building now for already 10 years, and their lease was coming due. So we had the interesting challenge of trying to decide what to do with M&M Mars, and could this facility be made available for the Church and Dwight team. Interestingly, Church and Dwight was able to strike a deal starting January 1 of 2012, where they're hoping to take occupancy of this facility and start making retrofits to it so that they can actually start adding 3 production lines that would manufacture both a kitty litter product along with a liquid detergent product. Those products would be manufactured locally and distributed to the Southwest United States. The worry that we had was displacing M&M Mars. Interestingly, we were able to secure them, or Sterling was able to secure them out at SCLA. I was out there this morning. I've actually witnessed they've actually started doing the tenant improvement construction work on that building. So we kind of have the best of both worlds, where we're able to add a new user to Foxborough and retain a displaced user from Foxborough, and actually putting them out in a building that's been vacant for some time at SCLA. The basic structure of the OPA requires a substantial amount of investment by Church and Dwight. They will be eligible for reimbursement of tax increment paid based upon their investments in the plant. They're required to increase an investment of $30 million above and beyond today's current assessed valuation. Right now, we estimate the current assessed valuation of about $18 million. So for Church and Dwight to be eligible, they have to generate an additional $30 million for an aggregate of about $48 million. We're also requiring that as a condition for their eligibility of the tax increment reimbursement is that they require a minimum of 100 employees. Falling short of the 100 employee full-time equivalent job generation would actually exclude them from being eligible for this reimbursement. With that, don't have any other comments to add. Staff's recommending approval.
They're out there in the million-square-foot building. Are they using all of it or part of it or what?
M&M Mars is using about half of the million-square-footer out at SCLA. I am aware of and been involved in discussions already with another user that's actually looking to occupy the remaining half. So we do have an expectation fairly soon of an announcement that would actually cause for that entire million-square-footer at the entrance to be occupied. But we haven't yet finalized that transaction.
Is there any urgency on this? I just got this and really don't feel like I've had the time to really understand or research this item. Is there an urgency of why we're doing it so quickly?
There is a sense of urgency, in part due to the governor's action to dispel redevelopment and actually eliminate agencies. This agreement actually would constitute an encumbrance on tax increments, so we believe it would actually be protected as an obligation to be paid to benefit the user. So we do believe it would survive the governor's action. We do believe the governor is about to sign bills, if not today, tomorrow. So we do believe that there is a sense of urgency based upon what's happening in Sacramento.
All right, if there's no other questions, I'll entertain a motion.
Move for approval.
Motion by Councilmember Rothschild, second by Mayor Pro Tem Cabrialis. Motion carries with Councilmember Kennedy absent and Councilmember Valles voting no.
All right, agenda item number 3 is City Council closed session, and I'll turn to our city attorney to properly frame that.
Thank you, Mayor McCachran. There is a closed session pursuant to Government Code 54956.9 B3B and pertaining to anticipated litigation, and it pertains to the grand jury investigation. To the extent there is any reportable action, I will report that at the conclusion of the closed session.
All right, we'll now move into closed session.
As a result of this evening's closed session, there is no reportable action.